this is a big reason why I talk about yoga, and I think it's so important to talk to your students about yoga, about what do we need to do to maintain our health and our fitness. And so on one side, we need to do cardiovascular aerobic activity, and on the other side, we need to do practices that help you to strengthen vagal tone and vagal flexibility. Now, cardiovascular activity can be helpful for that. I'm not saying it's not. It's kind of a then, there's crossover. However, breath-centric practices have this entirely different effect on the system than does going and getting on the cross trainer or going to a spinning class. It's just an entirely different, much more subtle experience. And I think to let people understand, we need fitness, we need cardiovascular fitness, and we also need relaxation training or resiliency training or something like that. It helps people to feel the value of it. Because I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I only go to yoga at that specific class 3 times a week because that's where I get my workout. And that's why they go. And they don't understand the value of balancing that. This is Brahmana and Langara. They don't understand the value of balancing that with practices that are going to keep their heart healthier longer, not just through exercising, but through this improvement of vagal tone. The model is not yet clear, I have to say. The difference between exercise and asana, we don't have the research on it yet. It's just not there, But there's plenty of anecdotal evidence, and all of you have had the experience of why breath-centric, relaxing practices are useful. And you all can distinguish them between that and exercise, right? So we need to be able to find language to help the culture to understand the value of these practices. And I think it's coming, but I see a change for sure since I started teaching in '95, and there's definitely a difference from that time when people just wanted to sweat and and then there was some if you're old you could do restorative yoga, it was sort of like that. That was sort of the way it was understood. Yeah, I think the consumers have to be educated. Believe me, I'm I think about all these years that I've been pounding the pavement teaching this stuff, and to small classes and small groups of people, and now it's like I start to see more interest in it. But in 1969, this guy Kenneth Cooper came out with a book called The Aerobics Revolution, and so it's been almost 50 years that we've had very deeply ingrained in the culture the necessity for aerobic activity. And so that got just slapped right on top of yoga when it came over, that's basically what happened. And so I think the next revolution is this understanding that we live in this highly overstimulating culture, and we need to train the vagus nerve, we need to improve vagal tone, we need to train the vagus nerve to relax, and that is something of value. So when people start to see the value in it, they're going to start to see they can sacrifice some of their time to do that, and there will be value to it. And I think it's going to require more research. That's sort of the next wave that we're coming to, is this wave of self-care, of backing off from so much of the hyperstimulation and learning ways of relaxing. And there's nobody better than a well-trained yoga teacher who understands yoga as opposed to simply fitness